Welcome into Outkick the Show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. It is Wednesday. I hope you are having a spectacular day. Outkick the Show presented by OddsShark. Go to OddsShark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. And I hope that you were listening to this morning's Outkick the Coverage radio show from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports Radio, 250 a.m. FM station, Sirius Satellite Radio, Channel 83. As well as the podcast and all the other different ways to take care of things. Big show lined up today. We are going to dive into many different issues. Episode 6 was legendary. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I'm going to ask you guys not to give spoilers in the comments. If you give spoilers in the comments for Game of Thrones, I am going to block you. I'm an anti-spoiler guy, especially when this thing is coming out in advance like this. So, don't spoil it. If you spoil it, you get blocked. I know a lot of you have watched. I have watched. We will talk about the story of it leaking without telling what exactly happened. Just know that it was one of the greatest episodes in the history of Game of Thrones, if not the greatest. Okay? 3 things that I want to hit today. The NFL Ezekiel Elliott fight. I think this is a fascinating fight. Ezekiel Elliott and the NFL Players Association and the NFL official arm are fighting. It is a real battle. Game of Thrones leaks online, Hugh Freeze hooker calls, and some of you will probably want me to talk about Charlottesville and the president and everything else that's going on there. But we begin with the Ezekiel Elliott story. And if you don't know the latest, early this morning, news leaked about the accuser in this case potentially trying to blackmail Ezekiel Elliott through sex tapes. And this has led to a real battle between a variety of different sources here. Joe Lockhart, the NFL Vice President of Communications, said, over the past few days, we've received multiple reports of the NFL Players Association spreading derogatory information to the media about the victim in Ezekiel Elliott discipline case. It's a common tactic to attempt to prove the innocence of the accused by discrediting the victim, in this case, Ms. Thompson. When coming forward to report such abuse, common or not, these tactics are shameful. Efforts to shame and blame victims are often what prevent people from coming forward to report violence and or seek help in the first place, okay? Secondly, the NFLPA then fired back. The public statement issued on behalf of every NFL owner is a lie. The NFLPA categorically denies the accusations made in this statement. We know the league office has a history of being exposed for its lack of credibility. This is another example of the NFL's hypocrisy on display in an attempt to create a sideshow to distract from their own failings in dealing with such serious issues. They should be ashamed for stooping to new lows. Okay, her blackmail tactics were in the police report. Now, I want to take a step back for a minute. And I want to talk about a larger scale issue here that I think needs to be discussed. And that is this. Victim shaming and victim blaming is not real when situations like this happen. Let me explain why. Do I believe that women are often victims of violence at the hands of men? Yes. Do some women not report those accusations because they are believed that they will not be believed? Yes. Do police often do bad jobs investigating crimes of sexual assault, domestic violence, all those things? Yes. But if your attorney is attacking the credibility of a person who accuses you of committing a crime, that is not victim shaming or victim blaming. That is the actual job, okay? That is the actual job that every attorney signs up for when they defend somebody accused of a crime. All right, I don't know where this idea took root that if you attack the credibility of somebody who alleges that your client committed a crime, that's victim shaming or victim blaming. First of all, we don't know that there's a victim here. There hasn't been any crime. We don't know whether anything inappropriate happened. So the phrase that the NFL used of victim blaming or victim shaming is not appropriate because we're not sure that there's a victim. All right, let's begin there. Secondly, whether or not a person has been honest and tried to blackmail your client goes to the very essence of whether or not they can be believed. This drives me insane, all right? I talked about it on the radio show this morning. If many of you have read To Kill a Mockingbird, I hope you have. And if you haven't read it, I hope you have seen the movie. To give you a plot summary, spoiler alert, a man by the name of Tom Robinson is accused of raping a white woman named Mayella Ewell. It did not actually happen. She is lying about it happening. When she is on the witness stand, Atticus Finch exposes the fact that she is lying during an aggressive cross-examination. That is not victim shaming or victim blaming. It is doing what an adversarial process is designed to do, which is get to the truth of a story. I have been involved in many cases such as these, both criminal and civil. I used to investigate sexual harassment cases. I would sit across the table from someone, listen to their story, then I would listen to the other side of the story, and I would try to determine who was telling the truth. If you had evidence that the person who is telling me one thing had previously lied before, that goes to whether or not I consider them to be credible. Now, what we often get in cases like these is a false dichotomy of good and evil, all right? The reality is every single person all day long does some good things and some bad things, right? The goal is to be better than you are. The fact that this woman was considering blackmailing Ezekiel Elliott does not mean that she was not also beaten. Both of these things can be true, right? Just because she wanted to blackmail him and wanted to get money doesn't mean that he also didn't beat the crap out of her. In fact, one reason she might want to blackmail him is because he beat the crap out of her and she didn't believe anybody else would believe her. One does not exclude the other. But it is not victim shaming or victim blaming for Ezekiel Elliott's attorneys and representatives to get that side of the story out there to question her credibility. Are you more likely to believe that Ezekiel Elliott did nothing wrong if the girl that accused him of beating her had previously also contemplated blackmailing him with sex tapes? Yes, that's 100% certainty. Everybody who sits on a jury would sit on a jury and make a decision about whether or not they find her credible or him credible, right? And so going out there and putting forward these two different sides is the very job of an attorney. It's the very job of an advocate. It doesn't mean she's lying. It doesn't mean he's lying. But this is actually what you're supposed to do. If you represent somebody accused of a crime, you figure out ways that he might not have committed the crime. One way that he might not have committed the crime, is if the person, i.e. the girl in this situation, is doing something to try to blackmail him. That's evidence that she might not be as reliable as you would have wanted her to be. That's probably why the DA in this case chose not to bring charges, because there are elements of her credibility in question. Now, here's the other thing. We have become a society that uses large examples of situations to try to apply in specific situations. I'm talking about in this example. Just because some men are getting away with rape and domestic abuse does not mean that Ezekiel Elliott specifically did. Just because some women are beaten and don't go public because they're afraid of being questioned does not mean that it applied in this particular situation. In other words, just because there's a large problem in society does not mean it's applicable to this individual situation. One of the main problems that I see in society today is people automatically use whatever story is out there as evidence of their worldview, i.e. people who believe that women are victims of domestic abuse much more frequently than they actually are, see this story and immediately say, hey, this is inappropriate. The Ezekiel Elliott's representatives are behaving inappropriately by suggesting that this woman might not be telling the truth. That nothing could be further from the truth. That's their job. Just because there is a large issue in the country does not mean it applies to this particular circumstance. That's the job of a lawyer, is not to look at the larger schematic issue in the country. It's to look at the specific instance in this case and try to decide what happened. The way that we end up in difficult situations often in the media is when we use stories that we hope are true to be representative of actual truth. Duke LaCrosse is a great example of this. So many people in the media wanted rich white guys to rape a black prostitute at Duke that they didn't even look at the evidence. They immediately assumed that these guys were guilty because their worldview told them that these guys would be guilty, right? And so as a result, nobody actually looks at the facts themselves. They look at the overall circumstances that surround them as evidence of what happened. And we've seen it happen a bunch of times here lately. Ryan Lochte didn't do anything wrong. Peed outside of a gas station, got robbed. People decided he was the biggest criminal on earth. Peyton Manning moons a girl in a trainer's room. People are like, oh my God, look at Peyton Manning, sexual assaulter extraordinaire. We saw what happened at the UVA case with that gang rape allegation, which was totally not true, that made bankrupt Rolling Stone. You have to be very careful not to allow your worldview to govern the individual circumstances of a case. Yet time and again, I see people line up on one side or the other based on whether or not they want to believe the story is true because it confirms their worldview. You learn very early in law school that if you go to a case, you don't argue global concerns in criminal matters. You argue the specific nitty-gritty facts of your case because that's all that matters. In this situation, it's not at stake whether or not women get beat up a lot. They do. It's not at stake whether or not some men get away with rape or sexual assault or domestic abuse. It's about this particular case. And if this individual woman has got credibility issues in her past and has been talking about trying to get money by blackmailing him, then that goes to whether or not she can be believed, whether or not a jury would believe her. And now I understand why the DA did not bring charges. Now, again, just because she tried to blackmail him doesn't mean he also might not have beaten the crap out of her. Both of those things can be true. And too often in modern day life, we decide, oh, this person's good and this person's evil. When in reality, every single person watching or listening to this today is somewhere in the middle. All of us did good things today and all of us did bad things. And by the way, who even decides what's good and what's bad? But this idea, again, the NFL putting out a statement saying, oh, you're victim blaming. Oh, you're victim shaming. We don't even know whether or not there is a victim in this case. We don't know whether Ezekiel Elliott did anything wrong at all. My biggest issue with this case remains that the NFL shouldn't be in the business of determining whether people committed crimes. I don't understand how there's not more people pulling their hair out over this. I used to investigate sexual harassment. I used to investigate criminal matters. Do you know how hard it is to do good investigations? You know how hard it is to talk to two different people telling exactly opposite stories and decide who's telling the truth? It's excruciatingly difficult. The police will tell you these are the most difficult cases they deal with. And yet the NFL thinks that they're going to be able to conduct an investigation and do a good enough job to take away a guy's right to earn a living for 6 games and cost him millions of dollars. I just don't agree with it. I've been on it for a decade. I don't believe that the NFL should be in the business of punishing players who have not been convicted of crimes. Now, if the NFL wants to be really aggressive and if you get charged with a felonious act, do they want to punish you then? I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. And I want all of you knuckleheads to stop with your argument of, well, if I did X, Y, or Z, I'd get fired. First of all, you ain't a high-profile professional athlete worth millions of dollars. Just about every one of you watching this right now can be replaced at your job, and the company won't even take a hit, right? Your standard is different than what an NFL player standard is. But even if you are an average person, let's say that you work at Walmart. If you were accused of beating up your girlfriend, Walmart would not conduct an investigation into whether or not you beat up your girlfriend if no charges were filed. This is unprecedented overreach by the NFL to conduct independent investigations into whether or not people are getting beat up. I just find it totally indefensible. I think it's a bad decision. And in my opinion, again, in my opinion, the NFL has set itself up for disaster. I want you to think about this for a minute. What would happen if the Duke lacrosse players were actually NFL players? All the pressure on Roger Goodell would demand that he suspend those guys and they would miss an entire season. And then it would come out that they hadn't done anything wrong. You could easily see how this happens. NFL guys away at training camp, they're having a night off. They decide to have a stripper over. That stripper alleges that she was sexually assaulted by the entire team. all of the pressure would rain down on Roger Goodell. He would suspend the players, and then they would be found out to be completely innocent. Here's another question for you. The NFL is effectively branding Ezekiel Elliott a domestic abuser. He wasn't charged with a crime. But in everybody's mind out there, now we're all talking about what? Ezekiel Elliott, domestic abuser. What if they're wrong? What if he didn't do anything wrong at all? How does he get his reputation back once you're branded a woman beater? Further, and I want you to think about this on a broader scale. How does this make any sense at all for the NFL? I've been on this for years, but the NFL should be listening. Hopefully somebody at the league office at some point will watch this argument or read a column. When Adrian Peterson gets charged with child abuse, or Ray Rice knocks out his fiance, the first thing that people think shouldn't be, what's the NFL going to do about that? Your first thought should be, what's the criminal justice system going to do about that? Adrian Peterson beat the crap out of his kid. Ray Rice beat the crap out of his fiance, now wife. Your first thought shouldn't be, how many games is he going to miss for this? Your first thought should be, what is the state of Texas, or what are the state of Texas and the state of New Jersey going to do? Are they going to put these guys in jail for beating the crap out of victims that can't stand up to them? We're letting the criminal justice system off when our first thought here is, what's the NFL going to do? If somebody commits murder, the first thought isn't, what's Walmart going to do? If a FedEx guy gets charged with rape, your first thought is not, hey, what's FedEx going to do about this rape? Your first thought is, I hope the criminal justice system brings these people to justice. That's their job. We've put the cart before the horse. The horse is what should be making the decision. The cart should just ride along behind it. The NFL should follow whatever jurisprudence is set forth by the criminal justice system, not the opposite. That's the truth. Okay? That's a simple reality. Makes no sense otherwise to do it. Period. Are there any questions about this Ezekiel Elliott case? I'm obviously fired up about it. Yeah, he could sue. I don't know how he could prove that he was innocent, but he could sue. It's a challenge because then he puts himself under deposition. He puts himself under oath. He has to prove that the NFL behaved in an arbitrary and capricious manner. I don't believe that he can get out of this suspension. I think it might get lowered from 6 to 4 like Ben Roethlisberger's did, but I think that's it. Questions about Ezekiel Elliott. I'll respond to those right now. Again, my position is it's hard to be involved in criminal justice. I'm not saying Ezekiel Elliott's a saint. I'm not saying this girl is lying. I'm saying that this is a job the NFL should have never undertaken. We don't need a 160-page report looking into Ezekiel Elliott's issues. We need the criminal justice system to make a determination. If they don't press charges, then there should be no suspension. And Roger Goodell behaved in this manner because he doesn't want to get called too lenient, right? Roger Goodell, from this point forward, anytime a woman accuses a man of beating her up, is going to suspend players for 6 games. Because the only way he never loses his job is if he says, I did everything that I could against this guy when domestic abuse happened, right? Roger Goodell is protecting his own job by being as aggressive as he possibly can in his punishment of Ezekiel Elliott. There's no doubt at all about that. The appeals process, I don't believe Roger Goodell is officially the judge now. I think he's put in place a new individual to review this and decide what the punishment should be. So again, my position is, and some people get upset, but my position is, if you are not in prison, if you are not serving time behind bars, you should be eligible to play in the NFL. Now, if individual teams don't want to sign you, i.e. Colin Kaepernick, because they don't think you're worth the trouble, or they don't think your talent outweighs your problems, I'm perfectly fine with that. But the league itself should not be punishing players for entirely off-the-field related incidents which are not criminal in nature. Period, in my opinion. Now, I don't know how good the investigation was of Tom Brady, but what I defended the NFL for in that case was at least that was somehow related to the on-the-field product. I don't know whether the NFL conducted an adequate investigation. I don't know whether Deflategate was real or wrong or happened or didn't happen. But I believe that the NFL has the right to police its own game. But for people doing things that have nothing to do with the game itself, They should not be suspended for that. We should not look to the NFL to be an arm of jurisprudence in this country. Period. Look, I'm not saying as a saint. Why does the NFL think they can do a better job than the law enforcement? Great question. Arrogance. They believe they can do a better job than the law enforcement because of arrogance. And I think it's unfortunate. I think it's also probable that the NFL people who made this decision have never been involved in the criminal justice system. They have never been involved in investigating things like sexual harassment. They don't know how difficult these cases are to do. I'm telling you right now, I've done them. I'm a pretty smart guy. You sit across the table from a girl who says she was sexually harassed, and then you sit across the table from a guy who said that he didn't do anything at all wrong. And there's no strong evidence on either side. How do you determine who's telling the truth and who's lying? Throw in a couple of witnesses for each side. How do you determine what likely happened? It's really difficult to do. And it's a bad look for the NFL. All right, shifting gears. Want to tell you about my friends at Home Loan Expert. They are now the presenting sponsor of the Anonymous Mailbag. If you ever read the Anonymous Mailbag, and if you don't read the Anonymous Mailbag, you're wasting your life every Tuesday. TheHomeLoanExpert.com, TheHomeLoanExpert.com. If you need a mortgage, a refi, or you just want to get pre-cleared, I'm telling you right now, they are fantastic. They reached out to me and they said the entire office loves the Anonymous Mailbag. We want to directly sponsor the Anonymous Mailbag. If you love Outkick, you should only get your mortgage with the Home Loan Expert because they will hook you up. TheHomeLoanExpert.com nationwide. You reach out to them. They are going nationwide. You reach out to them, and they will hook you up with an unbelievable great mortgage, low rate. They'll also refi you, and they can get you pre-cleared if you're out shopping for a new house. You may have seen the news. I just was part of the group that bought the Paradise Park building on downtown Nashville on Broadway. 4 stories of awesomeness. I'm excited to be one of the owners. Small part of the overall purchase there. Most expensive building I think bought in downtown Nashville so far, with bars inside of it. It's going to be awesome in the years ahead. I'm excited to be a part of it. But I'm telling you right now, if you like me and you like what we do here, you need to go to thehomeloanexpert.com and let them take care of your mortgage. You tell them Clay sent you. You tell them Outkick sent you. Can you pick a better mortgage company? It's overwhelming. It's difficult to make a decision about getting a mortgage. Go to thehomeloanexpert.com. I agree. They're a great company filled with great people who love Outkick and love the Anonymous Mailbag. Sometimes difficult to figure out how to get a mortgage. I know when I got my first mortgage, I had no idea what to do. 20-something years old, never bought a place before, had no idea how to do it, and I was able to get it done, but I would have much preferred that somebody told me where to go. So go to thehomeloanexpert.com. Again, you can search Ryan Kelly, or you can probably just search Clay Travis Mortgage. It'll probably show up soon. But thehomeloanexpert.com, they will hook you up big time. We bought a building on Broadway. I'm a part of that group. We bought the Paradise Park building, just down from the Bridgestone Arena, just down from all the honky-tonks, right in the center. 411 Broadway, I believe, is the address. It's going to be awesome. All right, Game of Thrones Episode 6 leaked. Game of Thrones Episode 6 leaked, boys and girls. And I'm just telling you this right now. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. By the way, look at all the people saying Home Loan Expert is great in the comments. They did it. You should trust this company. You should go get hooked up with them. HomeLoanExpert.com. I watched it. All right, people say, oh, you committed a felony. Here's the deal. I actually broke through down on this. One, this leak happened because somehow they aired this accidentally on HBO Spain. I think they got a Ned Stark, this guy. I think they got a Ned Stark, whoever is in charge of HBO Spain. Literally, the one thing you can't do if you're in charge of HBO Spain is accidentally play this Game of Thrones Episode 6 before it's supposed to air, 5 days before it's supposed to air. That's literally the only thing you can't do. You put on a porno movie accidentally, so what? And by the way, if you do air it, how about the fact that no motherfucker stopped it? They aired the whole thing. Everybody in Spain, the whole country asleep. How is it that it aired entirely already? It's an unbelievable story. Got a Ned Stark, the guy who runs HBO Spain, no defending him, all right? That can't happen. And if it does happen, you got to have a fail-safe in place where you say, oh, fuck, we hit the wrong button. That's not supposed to be up for another week. And then go back and change it. So it aired. It is phenomenal. It is an incredible episode. And I think a lot of you are going to have this choice. Do you get online? Do you Google how to watch Game of Thrones episode 6? They're everywhere. The episode is up everywhere online. If you Google it, you can find it. Reddit is like the craziest place on earth. Reddit's got everything. I had to watch. I can't wait. I can't wait. I write a column about it. I had to watch it, and I'm glad that I watched it. Is it illegal to watch it? No, not if you're an HBO subscriber, because they already put it up online. And for me, I'm a journalist, the big J, which I started saying years ago before the guys at PMC did, to make fun of my buddy Paul Kaharski, who was always complaining that I wasn't a real journalist. And I went and watched it. And I already wrote my column about it. It was extraordinary. I pay for HBO already. They already published it. And so as a result, why not? Go ahead and knock it out. Be glad that you did. And we'll still have our show on Sunday. We will still have our show on Sunday, and we will be able to still discuss it. I will watch it again. I pay for everything. I got Showtime. I got HBO. I got Cinemax. I got every channel, basically. And I got a full family. I got 3 kids and a wife. My family watches a lot of TV, a lot of Netflix. We got WWE Network. If you can pay for it, we fucking pay for it. That's why I work so much. If you can pay for it, if there's a subscription cost to it, then we pay for it. That's the truth. So, the good thing is, I'm rich and I can afford it now. Couldn't afford it years ago. Now I'm rich and I can afford it. So, several other different things. No, if you throw out spoilers, you will be blocked. You will be blocked if you throw out spoilers. We are close, by the way, to launching our Outkick VIP, our Outkick Premium, and putting all our new shirts on sale, including MSESPN shirts, which we're going to sell like crazy. Every football stadium in America is going to be full of guys and girls wearing these shirts. They're going to be everywhere. May do it this week. May wait till Monday. I want to make sure all the kinks are ironed out. What will we have there? We'll have a message board. We'll have a gambling concierge. My guy Todd Furman is going to be on giving you guys tips to answer your questions about gambling. You're going to get early picks from me in college football, which have been, hate to brag, but fucking money, all right? You're going to get a message board to interact with where you're going to have VIP events. In the 10 largest markets where Outkick is big in this country, we are going to have exclusive VIP events for only Outkick members. So we're going to be in Nashville, Birmingham, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, New York City. Those are our biggest markets right now where the most Outkick readers reside and viewers. And you will be able to come hang out with me. We're going to take up your phones, and I will answer any question you want, just like I always do, with 100% honesty. They're going to be awesome. We already have one scheduled in Nashville, and they're going to be limited engagements. So I'm sure they're going to sell out in all these places, and you have to be a VIP member to be able to guarantee that you can come. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be $100 a year, which is nothing. You're going to get a free shirt as part of that. Honestly, if you're complaining about the cost, I don't want to hear it. You're a pussy. Go watch ESPN. All right? If you're complaining about the cost, you're a pussy. Go watch ESPN. That's fine. If you don't want to spend money, no doubt, you get lots of free stuff at Outkick, but that is the truth. Okay, and finally, Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze just got popped. They finally came public with what I told you a while ago. Hugh Freeze has been giving out hooker calls. Every time he would go on a recruiting trip, they went back and they looked through his phone, and on his official cell phone for Ole Miss, he has been completely calling hookers on it. And what an unbelievable outcome. By the way, back to Outkick VIP for a minute. $100 for the year, I agree, is not very much. The reason why I want to make it $100 a year, lump sum, is because I want to knock out the knuckleheads, right? I don't want to charge like $9 a month and have some loser show up. If you pay $100 and people don't like you on the message board or you're a cunt, I just kick you out. I mean, that's the rule, right? Just like Clay Kyle here, you have the right to come on and I will just knock you out. But yes, Ole Miss had absolutely no options. If they had settled with Houston, not apologize, they could have kept Hugh Freeze. Instead, all the hooker calls have come out, and it is a total disaster. It's a total mess, and I think it is a disaster. So Have I seen? Yes. All right. So that's a disaster for Ole Miss. They need to go ahead and basically bend the knee. They need to bend the knee in front of the NCAA, bend the knee, and basically acknowledge that they were in the wrong and try to get this thing put behind them completely. Okay. On here now, rapid fire. Time for your comments. I'll respond to some questions. Then we'll be back live tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. By the way, hate to brag. You guys know I hate to brag, but I want to tell you about this right now. So I got pictures taken today. We're going out for advertisers with Fox Sports Radio, and I knew I was good looking, but I must have the best. I knew my hair was great, but tell me I don't have the best motherfucking photographer of all time. I'm about to show you a picture, and even the straight guys out there, so almost all of you, even the straight guys are going to want to fuck me when you see this picture. I'm not lying. Right now, if you are not erect, you're going to be erect in 5 seconds, all right? Are you ready? Look at this picture of me and tell me you don't want to fuck me. I mean, I don't know that it's possible for a radio guy to have better hair. I don't know that it's possible. Stop commenting, assholes, so people can see this picture, all right? Stop commenting. Look at this picture. Are you kidding me? Look at that picture, Facebook. Are you kidding me? Have you ever seen someone with better hair talking into a microphone? I mean, I think I just set a record. For the best hair ever while talking into a microphone. If there was a Guinness Book of World Record, I just owned it. All right, you'd totally fuck me. All of you would, even the straight guys. Even all of you with an unblemished record of heterosexuality, you'd fuck me right now. I don't blame you. That's how good I look. I'm Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. We'll be live again tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, Fox Sports Radio. Sirius XM Channel 83, 250 AM FM stations, 2 on all 50 states nationwide. I will see you guys then. Until then, join me in watching the greatest Game of Thrones episode of all time, if you dare, or you can wait till Sunday when I will watch it again and come on and talk about it. We'll still do a live reaction show. I love all of you. Kisses. D-Bow. Outkick VIP launching soon. Save up some beer money because I need it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. D-Bow. This has been Outkick the Show. Go to oddshark.com for all your gambling and related information that you need. See you guys. Kisses and winks.